huh, that's not the way we remember it. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things that It Chapter 2 did differently. For this list, we're taking a look at the differences between Stephen King's 1986 novel, the 1990 miniseries, and this follow-up to the 2017 blockbuster. If you're not caught up on any of these, why are you watching this video? It's just gonna spoil everything.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I've missed you.
Number 10. The Losers Forgetting. The adult losers in this movie are just as readers will remember them. Although Eddie is a risk analyst instead of owning a limo company, and Richie is a stand-up comedian rather than a disc jockey. In the book and miniseries, our heroes begin to forget about their experiences in Derry following its downfall.
Now, just weeks later, I look back on that time not from memory, but from the pages of this book. The nightmare is over.
As It Chapter 2 comes to a close, however, it's indicated that everyone still has their memories intact. Talking on the phone, Bill and Mike come to the conclusion that this is because It has finally been defeated. Now that they've confronted the past, they no longer need to repress their memories. The losers can fondly look back on good times while still looking ahead to a promising future.
To the losers.
Number 9. Eddie's Demise. Eddie can't cheat death no matter what the medium, but Andy Muschietti's film sees him go out on a slightly more triumphant note. In the book, Eddie stands up to it with his aspirator, and he breaks out an inhaler in the miniseries. In both cases, he's subsequently killed. Before the climactic battle in Chapter 2, Bev, who leaves her slingshot behind, hands Eddie a broken gate spear. By believing that the spear can do fatal damage, Eddie's able to temporarily subdue the monster. Eddie celebrates too soon, however, as it impales him from behind. This is also different from the book, where it bites off Eddie's arm. But the movie is still more gruesome than the miniseries version.
Richie, please. For the last time, don't call me that. You know how I...
Number 8. More emphasis on Bill's guilt. Bill has always carried an enormous amount of guilt over his little brother's death, but the blame he feels almost consumes him in Chapter 2.
You lied, and I died.
Bill feels especially responsible since he wasn't really feeling sick the day that Georgie died, and possibly could have prevented the tragedy. The biggest deviation from the source material is a trip to a hall of mirrors where Bill tries to prevent it from taking another young boy's life. When Bill fails, he's forced to relive the loss of his brother all over again. Discussing this new scene with Entertainment Weekly, actor James McAvoy said that he'd felt Bill was, quote, missing a vital story beat. Within the next 50 minutes, Muschietti cooked up the mirror sequence, which wasn't in the script. Number 7. The Storm. Although It and Derry are intertwined, this idea is taken further in the book. After It is vanquished for good, the most fearsome storm in the history of Maine strikes Derry. In the process, downtown Derry is completely demolished. Mike deduces that since It is finally dead, Derry is being put to rest as well. The storm was omitted from the miniseries, and it doesn't factor into this movie either. Given how bombastic the film's climax was, we doubt there was much room left in the budget for a disaster of Roland Emmerich proportions. Even if there was, destroying an entire town might have been overkill. The destruction of the well house was more than enough.
Can you stop talking about this? I can barely breathe.
Number 6. Mike's Hospitalization. Despite being the one who gets the gang back together, Mike gets the short end of the stick as the book and miniseries near their final acts. Serving as a minion of It, escaped mental patient Henry Bowers gets the jump on Mike with his trusty switchblade. While Mike manages to fend off Henry, he's left seriously wounded and needs to be hospitalized. Thus, the losers are forced to face off against It without him.
Bill, if you decide not to use those, if you leave, I'll understand.
While Henry still attacks Mike in the movie, Richie gives their childhood tormentor the axe before he can cut any vital arteries. Mike walks off his injuries and plays a crucial role in the climax, instigating the ritual that kicks off the final showdown. Number 5. The losers have to face it. With the exception of Stan, the losers fully commit to the promise they made 27 years earlier in the book and miniseries.
Beverly.
What a bunch of handsome old men.
movie, everyone but Mike is ready to run away shortly after reuniting. As it turns out, however, the losers have no choice but to confront it. Before learning how exactly Stan died, Bev already knew that he slit his wrists in the bathtub. When Bev stared into its deadlights as a child, she not only foresaw Stan's death, but all of their deaths.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
Unless they put an end to its reign of terror, every member of the Losers Club will die just like in Bev's premonition. This ups the stakes, forcing our heroes to stay in town and finish the job.
We can do this, but we have to stick together.
Number 4. Justice for Stan. Out of all the losers, Stan is given easily the least development. Part of that is because he takes his own life rather than returning to Derry.
Thank you. Stan is dead.
Stan's suicide is less melodramatic in the film, omitting his blood-soaked message on the bathroom wall. There's also more time dedicated to the losers' grief as they reflect on the loss of their friend and the time they spent together. Most significantly, Stan is given the last word when all is said and done. Before killing himself, Stan sent each loser a letter explaining his decision. Stan was convinced that it would get the best of him, which would put everyone else in jeopardy. So he took himself off the chessboard, feeling his friends would stand a better chance. Number 3. Bill's wife Audra. The role of Bill's wife Audra is drastically downsized in Chapter 2. In the book, Audra follows her husband to Derry, where she's kidnapped by Tom Rogan, who's under the influence of it. The losers rescue Audra from its lair, but she's left in a catatonic state. Fortunately, it doesn't take much more than a bike ride to jog her memories.
What are we doing?
It's okay, hang on.
The miniseries mostly stays true to Audra's character arc, although it directly captures her instead of using Tom as a vessel.
Don't you want her? Don't you want her? Don't you want it?
In the movie, we briefly see Audra on a movie set with Bill, and that's it. We guess the filmmakers had to make cuts with a runtime of almost 3 hours, but it would have been nice to see what becomes of Bill's marriage. Number 2. The Spider. Some of its forms work better on paper than in a visual medium, hence why Ben never encounters Dracula here. Among its many forms, the biggest change comes in the movie's grand finale. The book and miniseries build to something of an anticlimax, where its true form is revealed to be a giant spider. Throughout Chapter 2, Bill is repeatedly told that his books are great, but his endings stink. One can't help but wonder if this is a reference to the source material spider twist, which divided many. Rather than omitting this entirely, Chapter 2 finds a compromise by pitting the losers against a giant Pennywise with a spider-like body. What remains unclear is if this is its true form or just a form. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Maturin. By far the most bizarre part of King's book is Maturin, an ancient gargantuan turtle who gives Bill advice that helps him during the ritual of Chud.
Right here.
It's a turtle.
Maturin was restricted to a few Easter eggs in Chapter 1, and unsurprisingly never surfaces in Chapter 2. Instead, Mike uncovers a ritual that may be the key to stopping it. In its lair, all the losers must burn trinkets from their past inside a Native American artifact that Mike stole. While the ritual doesn't go exactly as planned, the climax still boils down to a battle of wills, and the losers crushing its heart. We suppose that's a little less out there, but are we the only ones who wanted to see Maturin come out of his shell? Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.